The story begins in Alaska, a very cold place. Due to the rapid global warming worldwide, the ice in Alaska also started melting slowly. The sheet of ice gradually became thinner, and one day, a very old creature emerged from beneath it. Wyvern, an ice dragon. A fisherman was cleaning a fish in a pond formed by the melting ice. While removing the fish bones, he cut his finger. He dipped his hand in the water to clean the wound, but as soon as a drop of blood hit the water, the dragon, which had been trapped there for 10,000 years and was very hungry, woke up. It immediately attacked the fisherman. The poor man tried hard to escape, but the dragon surrounded him and devoured him entirely. Near the site of this accident was a small town named Beaver Mills, where everything was running normally for now. Days and nights in Alaska are quite long, which causes a lot of trouble for newcomers. One such newcomer is Jake, who used to drive trucks but started working as a carpenter after his brother died in an accident. Jake was currently doing some repair work in a small restaurant. Claire, a girl working in the same restaurant, was watching him intently. Jake had been working for a long time, so Claire thought of offering him a coffee. But then David, a well-known doctor in the town, intervened. He took the coffee and asked Claire if she would like to go out with him. Claire refused for about the 10th time. David, slightly annoyed as usual, left. Later, Claire apologized to Jake. "That coffee was for you, but it's gone now. If you want to eat, come on." Jake was also hungry, so he agreed. Inside the diner, he met an old woman named Edna. She always ordered breakfast for two, for herself and her husband. She is, in fact, the wife of the fisherman recently killed by the dragon. Edna had not yet overcome the grief of his death. Claire noticed that Jake was going through similar sorrow. She comforted him and said that his brother would be happy in whatever world he was in. Jake was not ready to talk about his brother. He drank his coffee and went home. Elsewhere, a retired colonel was feeding his dog when a large deer's head fell into his garden from the sky. This news soon spread. Only one radio station operated in the area, and its reporter broadcast the news. Everyone thought it was a prank by some mischievous kids, but it was actually a sign of the impending danger. Jake didn't pay much attention to the news and returned to his van home. A little later, Dr. David came to his place. He saw Jake's hand and offered to treat his injury. The treatment was just an excuse. David merely wanted to know if Jake was interested in Claire. Jake denied it and said that as soon as he got the insurance money for his brother's accident, he would leave. He wasn't planning to settle there permanently. The doctor was pleased and said there was no need to pay, saying Jake was their guest and to let him know if he had any other trouble. On the way, David stopped his car near the woods to use the bathroom. Suddenly, he heard a loud noise from above. When he looked, it was the ice dragon. The dragon approached the car and suddenly attacked the doctor. David ran into the woods and hid for a while. When he felt the dragon was gone, he returned to his car. But as soon as he started the car, the dragon reappeared and killed David. The next day, a local man named Hess went hunting in the woods. He saw strange marks on the ground and the droppings of a very large animal. There were no such large animals in the surrounding forest. A little later, the dragon Wyvern appeared before him. Hess fired his gun, but the dragon dodged. The sound of his gunshot was heard by Inspector Dawson, sheriff, who was talking to Jake outside the diner. Both followed the sound into the woods, where they found Hess, who was very scared. Hess said he had seen a huge monster in the sky, and he barely escaped with his life, claiming it was enormous. The sheriff didn't believe him, thinking he was high, and simply told him to go to the police station to give a statement. Then, Jake spotted a hand in the woods, whose shirt and watch were exactly like Dr. David's. He had just met him yesterday, so he immediately recognized it. The sheriff couldn't understand what was happening. Hess again started saying that the monster was very dangerous and would kill everyone. Although they had no specific proof of a dragon, David's severed hand couldn't be ignored. The sheriff then called an emergency meeting inside the restaurant. In the meeting, he told everyone that an unknown creature was attacking the townspeople. He didn't entirely trust Hess's story, but still asked people to be cautious and stay indoors as much as possible. Just then, Deputy Susie arrived with the doctor's hand, which frightened everyone. The sheriff sternly stated that no one should go into the woods alone, and everyone should look after themselves and their pets. Their town's special annual festival was approaching, and people asked the sheriff what they would do about it. Jake interjected, "Are you all crazy? A man's hand is lying there. You can celebrate the festival in a few days. What's the big deal?" But the sheriff said an outsider couldn't understand their ways, and the festival would go on. He did this to prevent a climate of fear from spreading in the town. After the meeting, the sheriff received a call. A man named Thomas called, saying his farm was under attack. The sheriff immediately headed to the man's farm. Meanwhile, retired Colonel Travis was trying to figure out who threw the reindeer head into his garden. Suddenly, he saw a large dragon flying in the sky. He immediately took his jeep to inform the police, but the dragon suddenly appeared in front of him on the road. The colonel got out of his car with his gun and started shooting at the Wyvern. The Wyvern was not hit by a single bullet, but the colonel managed to scare the dragon away. After this, he went to the town and told Deputy Susie everything. He claimed that aliens had attacked their world. Hearing this, Susie thought the old man had gone mad and told the colonel to go back home. Still, Susie thought she should inform the sheriff. But by then, the sheriff had reached the man's farm and couldn't answer the call. As he entered the horse stable, he called out to Thomas. He then suddenly slipped into a pool of blood. Lying there, the sheriff suddenly saw Thomas's dead body. He wasn't used to seeing such bloodshed. The sheriff was so terrified that he passed out. Meanwhile, the colonel ran to Hampton, who worked at the radio station. He told Hampton to immediately make an emergency announcement about the monster. But Hampton refused because she couldn't make such an announcement without government permission. The colonel was very angry about this, but there was nothing he could do. He then went to his friend Farley, who was preparing food for the festival, but he also didn't believe the colonel's story. However, everyone was soon convinced when the Wyvern itself came into town, landing right in front of the radio station. Seeing the dragon, Hampton immediately tried to send a radio message for help. But the dragon quickly broke the electricity pole, which shut down the entire radio system. At Thomas's farm, the sheriff regained consciousness and used his radio to tell Susie to send everyone home. Following the sheriff's order, Susie made an announcement over the megaphone for everyone to go to their homes, but she was unlucky. Suddenly, the large dragon descended upon her and attacked Susie in one fell swoop. It tore her apart with its large claws. Now, everyone started fleeing after seeing the dragon. Panic spread in the town. Claire and Jake went inside the restaurant. They heard screams and saw the dragon approaching them. It broke the diner's door with its large, dangerous teeth and tried to get inside. People hid behind tables. After some time, the dragon stopped attacking and flew up. It started catching and eating other people in the town. A little later, Hampton and Farley also came to the diner and told everyone that the dangerous creature was eating people one by one. Everyone found the creature very strange. Then Claire suggested that maybe it was a dragon, like in the old stories. Hampton called her crazy for this, but Hess said that every country has stories of such mysterious dragons. He explained that in old stories, there is a name for such a dragon, Wyvern, born in hell, and it is very hungry. According to the story, initially, this dragon only ate bad people, but later its hunger grew so much that it started eating everyone. When it attacked Odin, the king of the gods, Odin imprisoned it in an ice mountain. Now that the ice is melting worldwide, perhaps the Wyvern has also been freed. Claire asked Hess how he knew this story. He said his family came here from Norway, and these stories are from their country. When he used to go fishing with his father as a child, his father would say that as the ice melted, there was a roar like a dragon's. They were completely convinced that it was the Wyvern that would one day emerge and destroy the world. Then Jake asked, "Did your father tell you how this dragon can be killed?" Hess said he didn't know about killing it, but the old people of Norway used to offer human sacrifices to appease it. Doing this today is impossible, so everyone rejected this idea. Jake then decided that he would go find the sheriff and call for help. Claire said she would go with him. The two drove out onto the road and saw the dragon flying and landing in a part of the forest. Despite the danger, Jake said he would go closer and see where the dragon was hiding. At the same time, on another road, the colonel was also looking for the dragon. He saw a trailer parked on the road. The car seemed empty, but there were bloodstains inside and outside, as if a fight had taken place there. When he saw more cars, they were all broken and people were missing. He believed the dragon wanted people not to leave the area so that it would not run out of food. The only way to stop the dragon now was to kill it. But the colonel also knew he couldn't do it alone. The three immediately went back to town. Jake spoke to Hampton using a communicator and asked her to call the sheriff for help. But Hampton then told him that the sheriff had been killed by the dragon. Jake started thinking of another plan. A little later, the three arrived back at the diner and told everyone the location of the dragon's nest. But they didn't have many weapons either. They needed to talk to someone for help, but the phone wasn't working. Then Hampton remembered that she had a radio in her studio, but a more powerful antenna would be needed. They figured there would be an antenna at a nearby store. The two quickly went there to get the antenna and connect it to the radio. On the way, they saw the sheriff's car and took weapons and bullets from inside, giving them to the colonel to distribute among the remaining people. Then the two went to the store. Jake climbed onto the roof and removed 4 screws of the antenna. As he was unscrewing the last bolt, the dragon appeared again. Only 1 bolt was left, so Hampton took out a pistol and shot at the dragon to give Jake more time to remove the antenna. They both quickly returned to the diner, narrowly escaping the dragon. As they entered the diner, Hampton attached the antenna and connected it to the radio. Jake set the radio frequency and spoke to a security agency there. But the signal was too weak to travel so far, and the agent kept asking what was happening. Jake thought people wouldn't believe the truth about the dragon anyway. So he spoke as the sheriff and said there had been a huge gas explosion there and communication with many people was cut off. He pleaded, "We need a lot of help. Send it quickly." Just then, the signal was lost again and the conversation was incomplete. Now, relying only on themselves, Jake decided they had to fight the dragon. They all had to gather weapons quickly. Everyone agreed to the plan and prepared their weapons. Farley and Hess went to get some fuel. Just then, the dragon came over a house. Farley panicked and the dragon struck him with its tail, causing a very dangerous injury. Jake immediately moved forward from the diner to save him. Everyone else continued to attack the dragon. We then see Dr. David in the dragon's nest. He was actually alive. The dragon hadn't killed him. He quickly tied his tie around the area of his missing hand to minimize blood loss. When he stood up, he saw the dragon's eggs. But before he could do anything, the dragon returned. It grabbed him with its teeth and carried him to the town. After the dragon left, Claire and Jake drank coffee and rested a little. They were talking when Hess said the Wyvern had returned. Everyone looked outside and the dragon dropped David onto the ground. It seemed as if it wanted them to come out to get him. Jake knew the dragon was doing this to trap them, but he couldn't leave David to die like that. He went to save him. When the dragon attacked him, Jake fired his pistol. Hess and the colonel also fired many bullets, but the dragon was moving rapidly. Despite being injured, Farley ran and distracted the dragon, and the plan worked. Jake safely brought David to the cafe, but the dragon then grabbed Farley and carried him to its nest. Everyone was saddened to lose another comrade. A little later, a message from the authorities came over the radio. A rescue helicopter had been dispatched, but as the helicopter approached the town, the dragon returned and attacked the helicopter, killing the pilot and destroying the helicopter. Once again, the townspeople were alone. Claire called her friends because David was very badly injured. Taking his last breaths, David revealed an important fact. There are 3 eggs inside the nest. His condition was deteriorating badly. Jake told everyone that they would go to the forest and destroy the dragon and its eggs. Otherwise, once its babies were born, it would be difficult to stop them. Jake told Edna to stay put, and everyone else headed for the forest. After a long journey, they reached the forest and found a power generator that could generate a dangerous electric current. This might be enough to kill the dragon and the eggs. Hampton rigged the generator to reconnect it. Everyone was ready, and Jake was about to pull the crank when the dragon landed again and struck them with its sharp tail. Jake, the Colonel, and Claire fired many bullets at the dragon, and Hampton tried to activate the generator. But the trap failed, and the dragon escaped. Everyone then saw Hess's dead body, and the Colonel went mad seeing his friend. He started shooting frantically at the eggs. Jake stopped him and said that the eggs could still serve as bait to draw the dragon here. They then continued on the path and saw more cars, including a large cargo truck stopped there. Jake had an idea. The truck could be used to trap the dragon. He decided to do this alone so that everyone else, especially Claire, could be safe, as feelings had begun to awaken in him for her. Jake loaded the eggs into the truck and started driving it at full speed. He kept honking the horn along the way to attract the dragon's attention. A few kilometers later, the dragon fell into the trap and started attacking the truck. Jake suddenly slammed the brakes. The rapidly approaching dragon crashed into the back of the truck. Jake then sped up the truck again. The dragon was hurt, but not badly. It came after him again and this time sat on the windshield. Jake didn't give up and there was a large cliff ahead. Speeding the truck at full speed, Jake jumped out of the truck at the last moment, and the truck fell down the cliff. As it fell, the truck exploded violently with the dragon and the eggs, destroying both. In this way, the dangerous ice dragon named Wyvern was eliminated. In the middle of the town, all the survivors, especially Claire, were waiting for Jake to return. A little later, when Jake returned, he told everyone that the danger was over, and he decided to stay in the town with Claire for some more time.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.